Headlines, highlights, the questions burning up the sports world get answered right here. This isn't just another recap. It's the Sports Answer. And leading the charge, sharp, fearless, and always bringing the edge, your host, Rudy Campos Jr. If you're talking sports, you better have the Sports Answer.
Welcome, everybody, to another great Sunday here at the Sports Answer, powered by Salem Surrounds. Be real quick here, 210-526-3635 at Salem Surrounds to get your business at the number one spot in all of the city. If you don't want to call that number, we got that QR code up top. Scan that QR code and go to the website. If you don't want to scan the QR code, we got another option, www.salemsurround.com/San Antonio. These guys are the marketing wonders, wizards, all the digital marketing you need, all the branding, everything. Just call them today. It's Salem Surround, 210-526-3635. Proud sponsors of us here at the Sports Answer. What have we got? Heisman controversy. We had Army-Navy game, the classic, the rivalry in college football. We're going to get our guests to talk a little bit about that. Plus, our Spurs Cheeseman. Hey, your Spurs are on their way to the NBA Emirates Cup finals against the New York Knicks. We're going to break that down for you guys today. Also get in our Week 15 NFL picks. It's the best and the fastest show, 30-minute show in San Antonio. It is the Sports Answer. Let's not waste any time. Let's bring in our other host for the day. It's going to be Jacob. Now, I'm going to say it here. Shout out to one of our listeners who tried to clear it out here. It's Jacob Can See Now or Can See No of Grading the Market. Of course, you can catch Grading the Market on Box Score Studio TV on YouTube. And also you can catch us here at the Sports Answer on Answer Now TV on YouTube. Jacob, did I pronounce it right this time?
You got it right, Rudy. Thanks for having me back, man. You don't want to be catching a tomato all the way from Cincinnati, Ohio, bro. So
no, man, don't catch this tomato from Cincinnati, Ohio, man. Speaking of, we had a lot of good stuff yesterday. We had the Spurs win, which the Cheeseman is going to be all about that. We've also got Heisman controversy. We'll get into a little bit about that. But first and foremost, I want to bring up Army and Navy because you were talking to me yesterday a little bit about Army-Navy game. You said you watched the game. I caught very little of the end of it here. Great game. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better game between Army and Navy here.
it was a great game, but you know what? I have a bone to pick with the I don't know if it's to pick with the television coverage, like the channel, or the people who coordinate the game. Yeah, I love this game, Rudy. I'm a vet. I did 8 years in the Marine Corps, which is Department of the Navy. So every year I'm go Navy. So I really enjoy this game. I tune in, I watch it. I love watching the pageantry and everything that goes on, like pregame and stuff like that. I love watching the cadets, midshipmen, when they march onto the field. Rudy, didn't show it on TV. I love watching.
They normally do.
I love watching the prisoner exchange. For those of y'all who aren't familiar, the prisoner exchange, they have like 6 or 7 or 8 students who spend a semester at the other team's school. Pre-game, they will return them. They swap them out. Rudy, in the middle of the exchange, they go to commercial.
The coverage was just like they missed out on a lot of important factors on the Army Navy game. And it's all fairness. I'm glad you saw it because I would have never really noticed it. I mean, I will say I've watched the Army Navy game maybe 2 times in my entire life. So I've never really noticed it.
I also love watching the flyovers, like with the Chinooks, the Blackhawks that come out with the Army takes the field, and the F-18s when the Navy takes the field and stuff like that. Really, they didn't show the flyovers. As a matter of fact, I wasn't even sure I was like, sure, there had to be a flyover, and it wasn't until I saw it on social and stuff like that. Now maybe I was watching the wrong channel or something like that. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but they did show like little bits and pieces when they were coming out of commercial and stuff like that. I was like, oh, okay, so there was. But yeah, so I was a little bit upset with that. But other than that, though, it was a good game, great game, fun game. First half was a little slow. It's a lot of quarterback keepers and stuff like that. Um, Second half, they picked it up. Both quarterbacks started opening it up, slinging the ball a little bit. Army's kicker was a Dawson Jones, tried his best to do his Brandon Aubrey impersonation. He had one from 45, one from 48, and I think like a 20-yarder and stuff like that. But no, it was fun. It was fun at the end. Though Navy takes it 17-16.
Yeah, 17-16, back-to-back 10-win seasons for the first time in Navy history. Congratulations to Navy, and also congratulations to Army, the rivalry. Definitely live in college football. Speaking of college football, man, you went from rivalry, we went to controversy. Now, it's no mistake that last week when our show, I even did it on another show that I do a recap on, and I said Fernando Mendoza was going to be your Heisman winner, and it came down to that Indiana-Ohio State game. If Ohio State won the game, I would have probably said, hey, Julian Sayin is probably going to be your Heisman winner. But Indiana ended up getting the perfect season. They beat what is considered the best team in the land in Ohio State. Fernando Mendoza is your Heisman winner. Had a great speech that I'm going to cover later on here for the Sports Answer. But the thing with Mendoza, the Heisman candidates this year, Jeremiah Love, Diego Pavia, Julian Sayin, and now Fernando Mendoza didn't have exactly the greatest stats if you look at past Heisman. I mean, Johnny Manziel, when he won the Heisman Trophy, he had more rushing yards and touchdowns than Julian Love. Jeremiah Love. I'm sorry, Jeremiah Love. So, it's crazy, and you've got a lot of people, Jacob, that are upset because Diego Pavia should have won based off of stats. And I get it. It's hard because this goes into every sports category. Like you talk about the NBA MVP. Well, Russell Westbrook was not on a, technically winning team. I mean, didn't have one of the best teams in the league, and he won because he averaged a triple double. You've got different guys in the NFL winning, MVP awards that didn't deserve it. It goes all over the place. This past year, I mean, look at baseball with Seattle and the Yankees. Judge won the MVP award, but Cal Raleigh had one of the most memorable seasons for a catcher. And it's like, you would think, I mean, Seattle, I felt, had a little bit better of a season. So you would think because of Cal Raleigh, he's the most valuable player. Overall, I mean, no one's ever going to be satisfied at the end of the day. Someone's always going to have a gripe, no matter what sport it is, you feel, right?
Right. It's always going to be like this. You're always going to you're always going to get some backlash and stuff like that at the end of the day. We kind of talked about it last week when college football playoffs, you know what I mean, with who's in and who's out.
Yeah.
You're always going to get this.
Yeah, it's a great point because, we get into the Notre Dame thing. Notre Dame said we're not playing any bowl games anymore because you guys left us out of the CFP. And I'm like, come on, man, you can't do that. That's a terrible look for Notre Dame. I mean, that is an extremely terrible look. You're screwing over your seniors that play, your fan base. A lot of these guys, this is like their hoorah game. They're done. And you do that. But that's a whole different show, man, when it comes to Notre Dame. But as far as Heisman goes, I get it. Let me bring up the stats here. These are the stats we're talking about. Now, obviously, Diego had more passing yards, didn't have as many touchdowns passing-wise. Julian Sayin, more passing yards. And again, it goes to what you see in front of you. If you look in front of you, Julian Sayin is probably your Heisman winner based off of stats. Now, they say stats don't lie, brother. Stats don't lie. They're right in front of you. They're numbers. They're not going to change. Okay. But at what point do you add winning? Because Vanderbilt was 10-2. Ohio State, what was it, 11-1, 12-1, something like that. Indiana, the perfect season. Now, Jeremiah Love, okay. I mean, you got him in there, but he was never really in consideration. It was down to the three quarterbacks. Stat-wise, for the three quarterbacks, what would you have done in this right here? Would you have taken Sayin?
No, I would actually just stick with Fernando Mendoza. Was one where I kind of thought that was going to be you know, that's the way it was going to roll. Especially with that record. I mean, they had a great year and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
I wasn't surprised. In other words, when it came out, I'm not gonna lie. When the Heisman presentation show was on, I kind of, I was paying attention. And I'm not saying that I was 100%, watching it, but I just had it on the side, and that is the main reason is because I kind of figured I was like, it's going to go to Mendoza. No shocker to me, Hey,
Yeah.
hats off to him. You know what I mean? But I do understand what if somebody wants to make an argument, for two of the any of the others. You know what I mean? I completely understand that and stuff like that.
So, I'm going to bring this up too because I'm going to give you the overall sayings. Now, Julian saying total yard was 33, 21, 31 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Mendoza total yards. Now, Mendoza's total yards, you see 2,980 passing, but if you add his rushing yards, it's 3,220 yards, 39 total touchdowns. He had 6 rushing. Now, Diego Pavia had 4,018 total yards, rushing and passing, only 36 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. So, again, I understand the Pavia case to be Heisman winner. I'm not going to say I don't. I do understand it, but let me throw these stats at you, buddy. Everyone out there saying Diego, if you want to base it off of stats, then I'm going to give you a name, Drew Messmaker, out of the University of North Texas, the Mean Green, who again I think they were 11-2, 10-2, exact same record as Vanderbilt. What does Messmaker do? He passes for 4,129 yards and 31 touchdowns. Now, his rushing stats, not great. 71 rushing yards, but he had 5 touchdowns on the ground. That is more than Pavia. And at that, the reason why his rushing totals were not great, he had one, if not the best running backs in the country. Caleb Hawkins had 1,236 yards rushing and 23 touchdowns. So
well, let me ask you this, Rudy. Do you think they got it right? Are you rolling with Mendoza, or it sounds like you would have been going with saying?
No. For me, this is what I came down to last week, and before they made the Heisman announcement, is I said the winner of the Indiana Ohio State Big Ten championship game would be the Heisman Trophy winner. So if Indiana won, I knew Mendoza would get it. If Ohio State won, I feel Julian saying would have got the Heisman. I think this game determined who was going to be your Heisman winner. Personally, I think Mendoza was your Heisman favorite for majority of the year, but didn't kick it up until the end of the year. Right. I think you had guys like Ty Simpson from Alabama. You've had Julian saying all year. Those guys have kind of been your all year. Even Diego Pavia, they've been all year Heisman guys. But I think because of the Mendoza effect towards the end of the year, and I think Indiana finishing undefeated, I think they got it right. But, I'm also looking at the bigger picture. If we want to talk stats, you had a team in North Texas who had a winning record, who had a chance if they had beaten Tulane to be in the CFP. They would have been in the CFP. And that would have been because of Messmaker.
Let's be honest, man. Finishing undefeated is always going to help you out on a Heisman race.
Exactly. It's crazy because look at the NBA last year, brother. Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shai, they finished with the best record in the league. I think that gave him a little bit more of a nod. And there's times Jokic has been the best player in the league. Averaging another triple-double for a year. He's been the absolute best player, but because of his Nuggets not finishing as the top team in the league, kind of hurts him. So for everybody arguing out there, Jacob and I understand the argument.
Completely understand it, yeah.
But if you want to talk stats, there's another guy that had better stats than Diego, exact same record. You can talk competition, but it is what it is. If you want to go stats, we'll go stats. If you want to go, like Jacob said, win percentage, Indiana finishing undefeated, beating the best team in the country that many thought was Ohio State, you go Fernando Mendoza, man. There's no way around it. And That's the controversy that we tend to see here when it comes to us here at the sports answer, man. So yeah, it's controversy all over the place. You're never going to be happy, dude. It is what it is. I know one thing you are happy about is the Spurs Cheeseman that we're going to be having coming up here, because what an NBA Cup run the Spurs have had. And we've got some reaction from Manu Ginobili. We got a reaction from former NBA player Eddie Johnson. I had a reaction this morning that I don't have. Obviously, it was from Derek Gervin, former NBA player Derek Gervin. I got to ask these questions. I'm going to ask you the tough sports questions when we get back here. It's Jacob. It's Rudy. It is the sports answer. Be sure to go to Salem Surround, 210-526-3635. Hit that QR code. That way they can make you the Heisman winner of business brands out there. We'll be right back.
In San Antonio, your business deserves more than noise. It deserves to be seen. SEO, social media, digital ads. If you're not showing up, you're losing customers. At Salem Surround San Antonio, we design digital strategies that work, from web design and SEO to social, podcast, and display ads. Real tools. Real results. Let's amplify your brand. Start today with a free digital presence evaluation. Salem Surround San Antonio, your brand, everywhere it matters.
So, like, I hear about the Spurs, this y Spurs that, y como que esto y esta, pero I never hear about the real Spurs Cheeseman. Nime, por favor.
All right, we didn't even wait to get back from commercial break, but shout out to Salem Surround, 210-526-3635. Guaranteed to get your brand on the top of the mountain. And as you saw, our Spurs Cheeseman girl chimed in here. It's the Cheeseman time, brother. It's the semifinals of the NBA Emirates Cup. Your San Antonio Spurs went through the group of death in the NBA Emirates Cup. They go into LA, they beat the Lakers, and they beat them handily without Victor Wembanyama. They go up into Vegas. They're playing the number one seed and the number one team overall in the NBA in the Oklahoma City Thunder. They came out with a 111-109 victory. I bet Spurs fans were disgruntled at the first quarter, and they looked very terrible. They looked horrible. But the one thing that Spurs basketball has been built on is defense. And those next three quarters, you saw a different Spurs team. Reaction from you, Jacob, as your Spurs are now on their way to the NBA Emirates Cup final against the New York Knicks.
Oh, I'm still jacked. You know what I mean? That was a good win last night. Like you said, it started off that first quarter. I'm not gonna lie, Rudy, I was worried. You know what I mean? And I was texting a couple of people. You know what I mean? When those threes weren't dropping, I think they started off like, what was it, like 0 for 12 or something like that? And,
yeah, it was like 0 for 12 is what I remember.
And they just kept chucking them up and stuff. And I was just like, man, attack the basket. You know, I was really worried. But like you said, they stuck with it. You know what I mean? They clamped down on defense, never let the game get away from them, I guess you could say. Stayed close, and they were able to take care of business. And now it looks like Keldon's llama is one step closer.
Victor, you know, then you've got Victor coming in the second quarter like Thanos did in the Avenger movies, just walking right in. And then you saw everything just kind of turn a little bit. Now, this is the first time that we have technically seen a healthy Spurs roster. And it looked pretty darn amazing, this Spurs roster. And you had four guys at 20-plus points. You had Victor, Devin, Castle, and Fox, plus 20 right there. Harper had 8 points, but they were 8 huge points, very critical shots. What you saw Dylan Harper last night do was clamp down like his pops, Ron Harper, did. Shout out to Ron Harper, one of the best two-way players in the NBA, but most importantly, one of the best defenders in the NBA. You saw Dylan play like that. What I didn't like, Jacob, was it's hard, and I hope we don't get pushback. I didn't like the ball in Steph Castle's hand again.
Mm,
He is majorly turnover prone.
yeah.
Nothing wrong with it. I understand it, but there's turnovers and there's those what are you doing turnovers. Majority of those were passes, trying to go across court, making passes that I'm like, come on, man, that you see a defender right there. Is there something about that game last night that got you like, man, I didn't like that? Me, it was Steph Castle with that ball in his hand, like, I need you to be a little more calm, brother. A little more calm.
Yeah, no, 100%. And you beat me to it. I was going to bring that up. Steph Castle had me worried, a couple of times. And my brother and I, we like to joke around when we see like in the NFL, like somebody throw an interception, you know what I mean? And we'll be like, well, we'll look at each other and be like, the defender was open, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what it felt last night with some of those Castle turnovers when he just threw I don't know what he was trying to do, but he would throw it and just turn the ball over. And once again, my brother and I look at each other and they're like, well, that OKC Thunder was open, you know what I mean? And just going the other way. And, and that's one of the things that they talked about, and you and I talked about is that going into this game, you knew you really couldn't do is turn the ball over against this team because they were going to make you pay. And that's why I guess those turnovers stood out a lot, much more when it was just like, what? Like, what are you doing? What stop it.
Yeah. And, the turnovers that Castle made, it kind of made up for it on the offensive side of things. And the one thing I noticed, and I don't know if you noticed too, was you always hear the NBA players and you always hear media guys and everybody talk about OKC's getting the calls. Shea Gilchrist, SGA is getting these favorable calls. And we're not gonna lie, he has been. There was some questionable calls last night on both sides of the court.
Mm-hmm.
But what I really loved was the NBA refs let them play.
Mm-hmm.
There were some fouls that should have been called. There were some fouls that shouldn't have been called.
Mm-hmm.
They both let them play. You saw the uncomfortable, I guess, the feeling that OKC got when some of these calls didn't get their way that they were normally getting, and it made it bad. But what the Spurs did on defense, brother, is OKC's known as a passing team. Move the ball around, find the open man. The Spurs defense clamped down so good that it made OKC into what they didn't want to be. And that was a 1v1 team. You saw Jalen Williams trying to get to the basket, trying to make something happen. When you make SGA work hard on that on the offensive side, one-on-one, his shot percentage goes down, especially when he doesn't get those calls. What are you thinking about that? Do you think the Spurs defense is, now that they're pretty much fully healthy, do you think the Spurs defense is going to catapult them to number one in the league?
Oh, it has a very good chance of doing so. And you know what happened with having Wemby back there, you know what I mean? That always helps, having a 7'4" guy right under the basket. Yeah, but it'll be interesting to see how they go moving forward because, Wemby is back, and I'm a firm believer in it takes a little while for the chemistry to get together and stuff like that, and everybody to get on the same page. I mean, they got the win last night, but like you said, the defense came through for them. It'll be interesting to see when everything is going 100% how they are, but to me, it looks like it's going to be scary.
Does look like it's going to be scary. I think Wemby just kind of creeping back is going to be a thing for a few games now. I don't expect them to play a whole lot of minutes right away, but they don't really need it with Cornette playing.
He was on a minutes restriction last night.
Yeah, and it felt like what's good is the minutes restriction felt like it was managed very well by Mitch Johnson. Mm-hmm. And Wemby was in there on key parts of the game that you needed him in. So bravo to Mitch Johnson on that. I think he did a miraculous job, and the coaching staff did a miraculous job on that minutes restriction, man. Salem Surround 2-0, 526-3635. You want to be champions of the league, just like, the Spurs have been 5 times, and just like OKC has most recently last year. give them a call. Salem Surround 210-526-3635. Click that QR code up there if you want to get to their website as well. They'll make your brand the best in the league. Couple of reactions, man. Online, you got Manu says, what a game by the Spurs. Great work by the whole team. Super proud of these guys. Intense game. I'm not going to pretend to read the Spanish part because I really would chop it up bad. But also, former NBA player, one of my favorite, guys from back in the day, Eddie Johnson, former Phoenix Sun, former Seattle Supersonic. The Spurs match up with OKC as well as any team in the league. Good win. I'm going to piggyback off of that real quick. I know we got a little bit of time here. Piggyback off Derek Gervin called me this morning and said the exact same thing. The Spurs, healthy, are the only team to match up with OKC, hands down. How does that make you feel right there? Because I think it does. It makes a lot of sense.
It's funny you bring that up because I think it was a couple of days or something like that. Somebody reached out to you, Rudy, and asked you a question of, hey, could it be a thing where they don't match up well against us? And you know what I mean? So, and it could be, like I said, could be. We'll wait to see.
It very well could be. And that they play on Christmas. We don't have to wait very long. So
no, we don't.
We're going to see how that matches up. What do you think, Spurs fans out there? The sports question has a question for you here. The sports answer has a question for you. Do the Spurs match up well with OKC? That's going to be the answer here. But the question here, Underdog, NBA at NBA, UnderdogNBA.com here. NBA championship set for Tuesday night, Spurs versus Knicks. I'm going to just ride with the hot hand. I'm going to go with the Spurs on that.
Yeah, same here. Hey, real quick, it's for those of y'all who aren't familiar with grading the market, you're going to see that this is our Spurs. We'll hear from the 210 against Anthony Turk's New York Knicks. So I probably won't be talking to him for maybe like a couple of days. Or like that. That's how we usually do it. Yeah.
Y'all got that rivalry again. It's on grading the market, so you be sure to catch that show. I'm going to take Spurs. Jacob's taking the Spurs. It's going to be a great game. I think the Spurs are playing at a high level, so I expect them to win. We got to move on here. Got very little time here on the Sports Answer. Let's bring up the Salem Surround Week 15 NFL picks. We'll go through it here fast. You and I both had the Bucks on the Falcons, and the Falcons just said, hey, no, not so fast, guys. I'm going to take this victory. They ended up taking the victory. Browns and Bears. Who do you have, Jacob?
I'm going to roll with the Bears.
Bears. I think.
Go ahead.
I think I'm going to go with the Bears as well. I'll take the Bears at home. Ravens and Bengals. Burrow playing out of his mind lately.
Now that he's back, this is going to be his second game back, is it not?
Third game. Third game back. I believe.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. I'm going to roll with the. You know what? For the boss, I'm going to roll with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Because I used to live close to Cincinnati, I'm going to roll with the Bengals. Shout out to Middletown, Ohio. That's where I lived, in between Dayton and Cincinnati. The Cardinals and Texans.
Ooh, I'm going to roll with the Texans.
I'll take the Texans. Jets and Jaguars.
Jags.
Give me the Jaguars. Your Chargers against the Chiefs. Chiefs lose, they're out. They're pretty much done.
Yeah. Oh, man. I usually don't like to go against Mahomes, but you know what? This hurts to do it, but put me down for the Chiefs this week.
I think I'm going to have to take the Chiefs. You can't ever count out Mahomes' magic. Bills and Patriots in the game of the week.
Patriots.
Wow. I'm going to take the Bills. And the Bills always lose to the Patriots. I'm just taking the Bills this week. Washington and the Giants.
Washington.
Sorry. I'm going to take the Giants, man. Jackson Dart is back. I'm taking the Giants. I believe he's back. Call me on that. I'm pretty sure he is back on that one here. Raiders and Eagles.
Eagles.
I'll take the Eagles. Packers and Broncos.
Packers.
Take the Broncos at home. The other game of the week, Lions and Rams.
Give me the Rams.
I think I'm going to take the Rams. Panthers and the Saints. First place Panthers.
Panthers.
Give me the Panthers. Colts and Phillip Rivers against Seattle and Sam Darnold. I thought I'd never hear that before.
Seattle, and boy, that thing is going to be must-see TV, Rudy. Like,
I know, poor Phillip Rivers, man. He's a grandpa, by the way. Golly, give me Seattle on that. Tennessee and San Francisco.
San Francisco.
I'm going to take San Francisco. Cowboys and the Vikings.
Must win for the Cowboys. I'll go with them this week.
I think I'll take the Cowboys for my marriage sake. I'll take the Cowboys. Dolphins and Steelers on Monday Night Football.
Give me the Steelers.
I want to go with the Steelers, but I have a feeling the Dolphins might creep. Give me the Steelers. I'll just take the Steelers, man. There's no reason to do that here. Those are our NFL picks here for this week. Again, the Sports Answer. Be sure to go to the Answer Now TV on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button so you get the Sports Answer every Sunday, as well as all the content that Answer Now TV puts out there. Be sure to go watch Grading the Market. They're a part of Box Score Studio TV on YouTube. It's Jacob and it's Anthony. They do a fantastic job. I love having Jacob here as a host here on the Sports Answer. And be sure to go to Salem Surround, 210-526-3635. That's the number to call. Or click that QR code that you see at the top of the screen. I'll take you right to the website, www.salemsurround.com/San Antonio, to get your digital marketing needs done today. For Jacob, it is Rudy Campos Jr. You have those sports questions, we're going to always provide you with the sports answers. It is the Sports Answer here on Answer Now TV. Until we see you guys next week, you guys be safe out there.
You've been listening to the Sports Answer with Rudy Campos Jr. Today's show was brought to you by Salem Surround San Antonio, helping local businesses grow with digital strategies that work. Visit salemsurround.com/San Antonio to learn more. We'll see you next time on the Sports Answer.